Hello and welcome to the Brazilian BA guest. I have a guest today who is Juande Santander-Vela. He's going to talk about with us about the SKAO project. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing very well, Juande, but thank you for being here.
No, thank you for inviting us. It's a pleasure to represent the observatory. I think this is going to be fun.
Yes, I do. I do have a question for you, and I will give you some time to explain what the observatory project is. But the question I have for you is, how are Agile teams working to create the world's greatest radio telescope?
Well, it's not a straightforward question to answer. Let's see, some minutes we can explain it. We are trying to build what will be the largest radio telescope in the world. And we're not creating just one, we're creating two of them. And we want them to operate as a single observatory. That's the SKAO observatory. So this means that we need to create one observatory for high frequencies in South Africa and one observatory for lower frequencies in Australia, Western Australia. We need to make sure that the environment is completely radio interference free. And we need to be checking when that is not the case so that we can remove the data when the data gets corrupted. And we're doing this with a partnership that has countries from Canada to New Zealand and almost every country in between. So we essentially operating from -9 in the UTC to +13 UTC. So essentially we have 21 world zones, time zones. And that means that we need to have a good framework and a good way of working software. And the reason why we choose Agile was because one of the main things when you have such a distributed workforce is that people need to be able to choose by themselves what's the most important thing that they need to do next. We cannot wait for them on having a big planning session and tell them, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. And then when there are problems, you need to come back again and tell it, okay, you solve this problem this way, you solve this problem this way, you solve this problem this way. This doesn't work. There is no way this can work because for the amount of people that we need, which is in the order of 200 people, we're working on all this software. That means you will have in the order of 40,000 interactions. And because those are all the connections that they can have together. So what we're doing is trying to first have a way to organize the teams and doing it in a way that delivers the best result. And we were looking into Agile practices because we wanted the customer, in this case, the customer for a radio telescope is a little bit more difficult to define that for something.
It's not an alien, is it?
Exactly. No, the aliens are not our customers. Because we have two kinds of customers. While we developing the telescope, the customer is essentially the astronomers that will validate that we build it, that we've built the right thing. But when we are operating the telescope, the customer will be the astronomers that want to do interesting things with our radio telescopes. So we are now focusing on our first kind of customer because the other kind of customer will only come later when there is a facility for them. And in the end, trying to find different methodologies, we chose the SAFE, the Scaled Agile Framework, because it was very well known across all of the world. So you could have people certified in any of the countries that work for the SK project. So that was a big plus for us. Plus, we managed to, we actually did a kind of an auditioning of different frameworks. And Ian Spence from Ivor Jacobson, he was the person that really clicked in the way we were thinking together. So we started training people in SAFE, and we now have what we call 3 Agile release trainings combined into a safe solution. To make it all even more complicated, we come from a very waterfall-oriented design phase in which we had gates, and we had to pass a preliminary design review, and then we had to pass a critical design review, and then we did an aggregated system critical design review. And we do have what they call an integrated product schedule. And so if we were not, if we were working in a normal way, we will be following the integrated product schedule to the letter, and these are the milestones, and this is what we're doing, and it would be very difficult to introduce change or adapt to change in these circumstances. It has already given us very many benefits. Typically in this kind of projects, when you have this kind of integrated product schedule, it says within 3 years, you will receive X black box. And then you will try to interface with this black box, and there is no way you can change the black box because the process to create that black box already finished. There's no one there. There might be some maintenance, or there might be some support contract, but to change it meaningfully, that's something that you cannot do.
That's the idea of waterfall, right?
Exactly.
You finish in a stage and start a new stage.
Exactly. And there is a bit of merit to that when it's really difficult to change things. So when it's you build in a machine, a physical machinery, which are a lot of big parts that really need to be assembled together in a very careful way. And they need to be tested, and each test is very expensive, then you can only afford to do that once in a while. Right. But with software, most of the software, you can really iterate very quickly.
I see when you talk the value of working in an approach that can accommodate change, that can embrace change as opportunity, and how hard it would be if you had a traditional process for doing that.
Yeah.
With this huge amount of people in different countries working in the same project, you would need to have a plan very detailed for people to work on, and you are being able to accommodate change inside of that. That's wonderful.
But also part of the problem is if you do a very detailed plan, where you also plan to utilize everyone that is contributing to that project at 100% of the time. Anytime you have someone that has a family issue or has a health issue or retires from the project, you get an impact of trying to get someone else and get them on board. So one of the things that we're also embracing is that we have dedicated time for introspection. So what went well in the last 3 months, and what didn't go so well, and what we could do to improve things. And we believe we have several people. We have what's called in SAFE, I think it's called the Lean Agile Center of Excellence, which is a bit of a too grandiose name for it. But essentially, we have a number of people that we have, we've gone through the SAFE program consultancy training, and we try to influence how the organization works and trying to make them see the benefits of not having everyone running at 100%, and the innovation that you can get when you can get some of these people with some free time. But also, very important is to have this alignment. You tell them what you want to do, but you don't tell them exactly how you want them to do it. And that's why they can come up with different approaches. Again, if you go the very detailed plan says you must do as you say, and this is the design that we have, and you have to follow it. But these teams, they said, well, we need to get this data, we need to produce this other kind of data, this is what the astronomers are interested about. What if we change this box in the middle and we can use something else instead? And that opens So that means you need to be also very open about what you need and what your potential issues are. And sometimes we cannot tell them exactly what we want because it needs to be tested. And this is also a level of openness that in other projects, such telling a provider that you don't know something is kind of a very clear way for a weakness that might be exploited by that provider. And the other thing, the other thing that we're doing is that we embracing something called relational contracting, which is the theory that if you have contracts that instead of being transactional, so this is what I get, this is what you get, and that's all. But instead, you try to build a relationship with your providers, and you can increase your mutual transparency. Then that benefits everyone because they can get more opportunities from the knowledge that is inside of the organization, and you can get better service because they can understand better what you need. And if you tell them that something is not going as well as you expected, they can adapt to that more quickly. And they also have the idea that this is for the long run of the whole of the project. So not everything needs to be nickel and dimed, trying to say, well, this cost me 2 more cents than it used to, or this is making me work 2 more hours. This,
I like to call it the difference about contracting outputs and outcomes. And when you have a very detailed plan, you are contracting outputs, and so your provider have to deliver you exactly what you said. The outputs he have to deliver you. And when you contract for outcomes, he starts to be accountable for the outcomes, and he have to decide what are the outputs necessary to bring that outcome. He have to think about the steps, he have to think about the solution. You are not expecting a specific solution, you are expecting a specific result or a specific outcome. And that relationship needs to have a lot of trust. Otherwise, it would not work.
Exactly.
Juande, if people want to share information with you, people who are running big projects, and I say very big projects, and want to use Agile or Safe on it, how can they reach you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn, Juande Santander-Vela. That's one way. I'm also on Twitter at Juande Sant. So my up to the T in my surname. And and I think if you go to the observatory page, you will also find the email there. Please feel free to reach. We just love to have this project and to have more people contributing to it.
I will add those addresses here below this video if someone wants to check on and to know more about the SKAO Observatory. It will be very interesting. Thank you, Juande, and thank you for everyone who is watching us.
Thank you, Fabrizio. It's been a real pleasure. Obrigado.
Ah, de nada.